and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 10 of the Spring Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a brand new spring themed craft project every day for 14 days. Today we're back to card making with this super cute picket fence card. There's a ring of spring flowers around the top, the sunshine is finally out, and it's a really cheerful, happy card. It opens up with the picket fence and the flowers coming over to reveal all of the details inside, and then your message goes on the back. As well as this pre-made design with all the flowers, I've also included a blank version. This is so that you can customize it with your own pictures in the middle, whether you're doing that with your Cricut machine, or you could use stamping or embellishments you've already got, or anything else from your craft stash. Once again, the picket fence comes up to have whatever you've got in here showing on the inside and a message panel on the back. So, what are you waiting for? Let's get started. This project is part of the 2026 Spring Craft Countdown. Download the cut files for free for the first 24 hours after this video goes live using the links in the video description or by visiting craftwithsarah.com/spring26. After 24 hours, the cut files for this project can be purchased from craftwithsarah.com/spring26 files. Or get the entire Spring Craft Countdown plus 35 extra bonus files from craftwithsarah.com/spring26 bundle. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into your cutting machine software. For instructions on how to do this, visit craftwithsarah.com/help and choose Cricut, Silhouette or Scan and Cut. Within there are dedicated help guides on topics such as how to upload SVGs, how to modify them to make custom projects, framing tips, and how to cut cardstock with your type of cutting machine. If you have any questions, email hello@craftwithsarah.com. Now, on with today's project. For the first part of this video, we'll look at the blank template for the picket fence card. Then after that, we'll do the pre-made design with the flower arch. This is what the blank version looks like loaded into Design Space. There's a green box over on the top left which says resize to 11 inches wide and 16 inches tall, then delete this rectangle. It should load in at that size automatically, but it's always a good idea to check. So I'll click, and then this is indeed 11 by 16, and that's the size of everything in the design all together. The finished card will fit in a 5 by 7 inch envelope. To delete the rectangle, click on the design and press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel. Then click down to select that green rectangle layer and press Delete on your keyboard or click the trash can. We don't want to cut that out by mistake. Next up, go on over to the picket fence design, and we need to format the score line. If you don't have a scoring wheel or stylus for your machine, you can delete the score line instead. Open up the layers by clicking the arrow in the Layers panel and then click on the vertical line. If you don't have a scoring tool, delete that line. If you do, with it selected, make sure you've just got that one line selected, not the base card underneath. Under the Operations drop-down, change it to Score. Click away and then click back again to select the card and the line. You can see in the Layers panel they're now both selected because they've both gone green. With those two selected, at the bottom of the Layers panel, press Attach. Attach is what tells the Cricut to do the scoring in that exact place. And then this would be ready to either cut out and then customize away from Design Space, maybe by adding in some rubber stamp designs or some stickers or anything you've already got in your craft stash. Or if you want to, you can build up your design directly in Design Space, either with SVGs that you've uploaded, or if you have Cricut access, you can look in the image library. For instance, if I have a look in here for roses, I would want to filter my search and look for cut only, or you could do cut and draw or print then cut, but I'm going to do just cut only for this. And you used to be able to select designs that work with paper. Can you not do that anymore? Let's have a look. Maybe I need to click Advanced Search on the bottom. Okay, this is what I wanted a bit more. All right, let's look down. And I want to look under material and then paper cardstock. It doesn't always work out. In fact, this is a good example of where that hasn't worked out, because this would actually be really bad for cardstock because none of the pieces are connected, so it would all cut separately and you'd have to try and put it together. But it should also give you some that would work well for cardstock. Although looking at this, most of them kind of don't. All right, maybe that filter doesn't quite work as well as it used to. That one would probably work out nice. All right, let's try that. So it might be a little bit of trial and error until you find some images that might work. But you could do a rose one by putting some roses in there. You could have some grass. You could put a sun in the sky. Whatever you want to do to make this completely personalised for your intended use. If you'd rather just use my pre-made design, then don't worry. We'll get onto that in a bit. But for now, when you're ready to cut this out, save the project if you've made a lot of changes because you don't want to lose them. Connect to your machine using this button up here and then press make. And that will separate out all your colours for you. You can change the paper size in here, and then you can click and drag to move things about to take up less space on your cardstock. Just make sure nothing overlaps when you're moving them about, otherwise it won't cut out properly. Press continue to connect to your Cricut, get all the bits cut out, and then we'll see how to put together the blank version of the picket fence card. Here are all the parts of my blank picket fence card cut out, and I've purposefully not done any other decorations just to show how the basic card goes together, and then you can add your own flowers and anything else you want to put in there. So first up, we're going to take the base card. I've got the score line facing upwards towards me. I'm going to fold that picket fence back along the line like that. And then on top of that will be this bit glued. And it means the picket fence will overlap a little bit on each side. The glue I'm using is Barely Art glue, but I also like Collal. The reason I like these two glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. So I'm going to put the glue directly on the front of the card, because then I know on those two end bits I'm not going to go any further than I need to. I want to mention this end part in a minute once I've stuck this on, because yours will look a little bit different to mine. There we go. So that's those on the front of the card, and then when you open it, for mine you can see I've got this bit of white showing through, and I actually don't like that very much. I think it looks a little bit unfinished. So on your one that you get, the blue will go all the way to the edge, so you won't have this kind of white strip showing, but it will still overlap the front of your card. If I turn it over, you can see what that's doing. So on either side, those panels or posts go over the edge, which I think makes it look really nice, and it means that if you want to, you can join things like I've done with the flowers on the other design, which we'll be making shortly. We've got a message panel and a backing. You could put this on the inside if you want to, but then it means your message will be visible when the card is on display. So I think it's a little bit nicer to put it on the back. First up, I'll glue the message panel onto the border. This also helps to give the back of the card a little bit of extra weight. So if you're putting quite a lot on the front, then it balances it out. This will go right in the middle. There we go. And then you can add whatever other embellishments and things that you want to put on there. I'm going to leave mine plain, but we've also got these posts to go onto the front of the card as well. These will be stuck on with some foam squares to give some dimension. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot and Dab. These are 2mm, but any will do. You can use thinner or thicker ones if you prefer. If yours are much bigger, You might need to cut them smaller with scissors to fit inside some of these panels. I'm going to go straight up with the foam squares on the front of my card. I think that'll be a little bit easier than trying to put it on the backs of the smaller pieces. And I'm going to go down all of these in one go. I think 4 is actually going to be a good number on here. You want a good amount on them so that they'll get a level backing on them. That paper cardstock we're about to stick on will sit nice and flat on all these foam squares. You can leave these bits off if you want to and leave it a little bit plainer or flatter on the front, but this helps make it look a little bit more like a realistic picket fence with the layers of wood going up the posts. And it's always nice to have a little bit of dimension on a card, I think. And then all of these will line up and stick on top. Make sure you put the right ones on because they're slightly different sizes. We've got taller, thicker ones on the very end, and then they get a little bit smaller as they go into the middle. Line these up. I think that one. There we go. I'm going to keep going now all the way along until all of the fence posts are on. Okay, that's my fence done. You can see now that it is looking that little bit more exciting and realistic looking now with that little bit of shadowing and depth. And then it opens up, closes. You can add all your extra decorations on the front and it will stand up beautifully. I'm going to leave this one plain, but let's go back into Design Space and take a look at the pre-designed one with the flower arch all the way around the top. Here's the pre-designed version of the picket fence card with the flower arch going around the top. We have to do the same formatting that we did for the blank version. So first up, I'll click, check the size, 11 by 16, which this is, ungroup, click on that top layer, which is the green box with the size information, and delete it. Then to set my score line, I'm going to click on the base card, open up the layers, click on that vertical line. You can delete it if you don't have a scoring tool, but I do, so I'll change it to score in the operations drop down. Click to select that whole base card and attach. Everything else is all ready to cut. You don't need to change anything. If you want to change the colours though, you can do that by clicking on the part you want to change. First up, we'll need to ungroup all of the flowers, and then you can choose the one you want to change and select a new colour in there. Apart from that, it's all exactly the same to get it cut out, so go ahead and do that and then we'll put it together. I've got all the pieces of the card cut out and I've already folded the front along that score line. I'm going to decorate the inside first. I've got my hill to be glued on. All these decorations that are going to go on this side will be glued. It's right up to that score line. And then we've got the clouds. Try and get the bottoms roughly straight, but apart from that, it doesn't matter where too much. Where too much? That didn't make sense. It doesn't matter too much where you put it. For the sun, I think we can get away with some foam squares here because there's not going to be anything else overlapping it, and it will help balance out a little bit of dimension because we'll have the extra weight from the archway in a moment when we get to that bit. So foam squares for the orange. I lined that up terribly. Let's try it again. There we go. And glue the yellow in the middle. And we've got another message panel to go on the back. Just like we did with the blank template, The white will be glued onto the border piece, and then they'll both be glued onto the back. And then put this on the back. Like that. Okay. Once again, yours will be a little bit different because you'll have the other side of this fence post as part of your blue, but I didn't do that when I first cut mine out. Next up, we've got the archway to go on top. This is going to be glued, so it will glue to these bits down here. And once again, actually, let's put the glue directly on here. Next up is the pink to glue on top. I've just put the glue on the wrong side of that because that's not going to line up with that middle flower now. I am going to have to recut that bit. Or I might have glued that one on the other way. It doesn't really matter, but I should have checked that first. So that's a good tip for you if you're watching this before you've glued it. Hopefully you are. Line it up first to make sure it's going on the right way because it's not 100% symmetrical because of that flower in the middle. So I'm going to go recut this bit and then I will be back. I am back with my recut pink section. Let's line that up. Make sure it's the right way round. Then I can turn it over and add the glue. There's that one, and we can start adding the other flowers. I've got the solid layer first to go on those. This will be done with foam squares. Just making sure I put it on the right way round. So this is my one for the right hand side. It doesn't matter if you do left or right first. Just make sure you stick the right ones on the right side. Well, that should be the correct ones on the correct side. There we go. And then the yellow on top to glue. And then the other orange one to glue. And the same for the other side. And we've got the one in the middle. Put that straight on there. Foam square for the yellow. The petals aren't quite the same all the way around, so you might need to kind of turn it in place a few times before you get it exactly lining up. That looks right. And then a little bit of glue for the circle in the middle. Oops, smush that out everywhere. Okay, so that's how it's looking so far. And now we've got the extra details of the fence, starting with this one. Now you could leave this piece off if you want to. It's really just to give some extra stability to the front of the card. You can either glue it or foam square it. I'm going to glue it because the foam squares will go on top to make up all the different posts. But this is helpful, even though it's sort of the same as what we've got, because it gives you one extra layer to the front, which means it's a little bit sturdier when it's standing up. And then I've got all of the posts to put on with foam squares, just like I did with the blank template one a little while earlier in this video. So I'm going to pause up for now, get all of those stuck on with my foam squares, and then we'll see the finished card. Here's my picket fence with the foam squares. You can see that lovely shadowing in there. And now this is all finished and it stands up beautifully. There we go. And that's the archway version of the picket fence card finished. Whether you're making this pre-made version or if you're doing the blank version and adding your own flowers, I really hope you enjoy making this project. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make these adorable little picket fence cards. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and card making fun. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 11 of the Spring Craft Countdown, but for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!